This gentleman has been a successful rancher, a cattleman, a businessman, and President Reagan's personal butcher. He's from Thousand Oaks, California. This is Mr. Bruce Oxford. And Mr. Oxford, more than just a butcher to the president, you're friends, too. How did you become friends?
Well, about 30 years ago, President Reagan had a ranch out in Thousand Oaks, and that was the days when Thousand Oaks was just a farming community, and all of us that lived there knew one another, and President Reagan was a customer of mine in the store that I was working in, and later on, when I had my own store, he became my customer there, and that's how the relationship started.
He became his butcher?
Sure.
Do you still butch?
Still do it, yes.
And you are still to this day Mr. Reagan's butcher on the West Coast?
That's correct, although I usually don't know what it is that he's getting, when he's getting it, because his Secret Service people take care of the meat pickups and that sort of thing.
They come and pick up the meat, too? Do they test it or do anything silly like that?
I would assume they do.
Really?
I would assume.
And so does he have also an East Coast butcher? And
I wouldn't have any idea. I wouldn't think that he'd give up his West Coast butcher for an East Coast butcher, though.
What's the exciting day? The call said,
The president's coming west and he needs meat.
That's exactly how it goes. We get a phone call from the White House and says the president would like to talk with you. And
he gets on the phone personally and orders...
Sure he does. Sure.
When you talk, do you talk... Cold War or just cold cuts?
We primarily talk about beef these days.
Primarily beef.
And years gone by, when I'd be at his ranch, and there was one period of time that I worked at his ranch for about 6 weeks. I had decided I wanted to become a farmer, and I bought all the haymaking equipment, went out to his ranch and contracted to bale his hay for him, and we put in lots of conversation time and had a good time getting to know him.
Now, he also, we see pictures of President Reagan as a farmhand, as a cowboy. Is he a genuine farmer? What's your opinion of him?
He's a genuine farmer. He works harder than any ranch hand that he has, and he understands farming, he understands cattle. One of the best horsemen, probably, that I've ever known in my life.
Really?
He's really got away with horses. Now, he had a couple of jughead horses that he shouldn't have had. It kind of is bad for his reputation that he'd have a couple of horses that weren't so wonderful, but...
He's had a couple of cabinet ministers. Win some, you lose some.
I guess so.
Politically, are you in sync with the president?
No, I'd say that we differ quite a bit politically, but that doesn't keep us from being friends.
Yes. Have you always voted for him?
No, I don't believe I've ever voted for him. I'd share a story with you that the morning that President Reagan became governor of California, when I came to my store about 8:30 in the morning, I've got some big double gates that go down a driveway, and I saw a car parked behind my double gates, and then I recognized it's Reagan's old Ford station wagon, and so of course I went up and congratulated him. I had watched the news that morning and knew that we had a new governor, and congratulated him. I said, "What are you doing here?" And he says, I'm hiding from reporters and people like that. And he said, "I knew that you'd have a good cup of coffee here, so I thought I'd come down." So we came in the store, and I felt called upon to advise him that even though I had congratulated him very heartily, that I didn't vote for him, and so I told him, President Reagan, Governor Reagan, I didn't vote for you. You understand that? And he said, "It's perfectly all right. I wouldn't vote for you either."
Does he have faults that personally that you've noticed, or do you only take issue with him politically? I mean, you respect his choice of sirloin? And...
Yes, I do that. appreciate the way he eats, and no, I find him to be a very good man, a good person to know, and I think anyone that was watching tonight would like to know him.
So whether you agree or not politically, an upstanding leader, and
absolutely.
sounds like he's been a good friend to you. Does the president eat quiche? I guess.
I doubt that he's not. I'm sure he doesn't eat quiche.
Pleasure having you on the show, Mr. Oxford. Bruce Oxford, let's hear to the president. We'll be right